Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am genuinely thrilled you're here today because, wow, we have a truly fascinating synthesis of the latest tech stories to unpack. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's just get right into it. Today, we're looking at a central, really unifying theme: ecosystems under siege. From the hidden code lurking in your endpoint defenses, to the giant macroeconomic forces shaking global crypto markets, all the way to the strategic battlegrounds of the console gaming wars. The systems we rely on every single day are experiencing just unprecedented pressure.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, the new cyber arms race. Second, supply chain extortion. Third, crypto macro headwinds. And finally, Sony's return to console exclusivity. All right, Section 1, the new cyber arms race. Ransomware and malware evolution. The most urgent threats we're facing right now aren't just about encrypting files anymore. They are literally designed to dismantle our defenses from the inside out. Okay, let's dive into this number right here, 90%. That is an unheard of affiliate revenue share currently being offered by the Gentleman Ransomware Group. I mean, in the ransomware as a service industry, standard cuts for affiliates are usually, around 70 to 80%. But Gentleman is employing this super aggressive market capture strategy to basically poach the most skilled operators from competing ransomware families. And this generous split isn't just some marketing gimmick. It's funded by an absolutely massive attack success rate.
Now, you might be wondering, how exactly do they guarantee that kind of success? Well, affiliates are paying for access to the group's secret weapon. It's called the Gentle Killer Framework. This is a highly mature endpoint detection and response, or EDR killer. It doesn't just quietly evade detection, it actively hunts down and neutralizes over 400 security processes across 48 different products. We're talking market leaders here: CrowdStrike, Microsoft Defender, SentinelOne. It is a terrifying arms race, basically blinding the world's top security products by unloading drivers and terminating processes before the ransomware even has a chance to deploy. So, let's look at how this philosophy builds into another incredibly sophisticated threat: Microsoft's newly discovered Clipper malware. This illustrates a complex, multi-stage attack vector that starts, shockingly, simply with a USB drive. Picture this. A user clicks what looks like a totally familiar document shortcut on a USB. Boom. That single click triggers a worm, which then sets up an entirely in-memory Tor command and control network. This brilliantly bypasses normal network security and establishes a persistent backdoor before it even begins its primary job, which is just quietly monitoring the user's clipboard for cryptocurrency wallet addresses.
And this perfectly highlights the evolution we're seeing. Classic Clipper malware, that was basically just a smash-and-grab financial crime. It watched your clipboard, swapped out a crypto address, and ran. But this new hybrid threat, it's a comprehensive endpoint compromise platform. It captures screenshots, it spreads like wildfire, like a worm, and it leaves a backdoor wide open for future attacks. The days of simple, single-purpose malware are completely over.
Which brings us to Section 2, Supply Chain Extortion Escalates, the Vendor Weak Link.
As these primary targets start building higher and higher digital walls, attackers are, they're simply walking through the side doors. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding this new model: extortion as a service. A group called Shadowbyte3 uses this exact playbook. They don't even bother encrypting your network anymore. They just steal your data and threaten to leak it to the public. And this completely shifts the paradigm, because it means having perfectly pristine, comprehensive data backups. It no longer protects a company from a ransom demand. The threat isn't losing your data anymore. The threat is the whole world seeing it.
Let's put this into perspective with this rapid 5-day timeline involving gaming giant Nintendo. On June 13th, Shadowbyte3 claims to have 859 megabytes of Nintendo's internal data. The very next day, they demand $2 million. Nintendo, who is famously known for its fierce security and secrecy, flat out refuses to pay. And without missing a beat, by June 16th, the attackers pivot their extortion demand directly to a third-party vendor called TinyPulse.
Now, Nintendo released a statement explicitly saying Nintendo systems have not been compromised. And you know what? They were completely right. Nintendo's internal fortress held up perfectly. But a decade of sensitive employee feedback, unvarnished project opinions, and cultural indicators, they leaked anyway. Why? Because TinyPulse, which is an employee engagement survey platform, became the ultimate weak link. It's just a stark, real-world reminder that your ecosystem is only as secure as the least secure vendor who holds your data.
All right, let's move on to Section 3. Crypto markets face macro headwinds, the Fed's ripple effect.
Okay, so while hackers are busy stealing crypto directly out of people's clipboards, the broader digital asset market is bleeding out for a totally different reason:
massive macroeconomic forces. The new Federal Reserve Chair, Kevin Warsh, recently made a very definitive hawkish pivot. He stated that the committee is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective. With services inflation remaining super sticky and the labor market running hotter than anyone expected, Warsh is prioritizing inflation control over short-term growth. And honestly, the market was completely caught off guard by this posture. Everyone was expecting potential rate cuts, absolutely not the possibility of rate hikes.
And the cause and effect was immediate. Just look at this 24-hour fallout. Over $350 million in leveraged positions were liquidated. Poof, gone. Bitcoin plummeted 5.3%, losing critical support and dropping below $63,000. Ethereum fell 6.5%. And altcoins, they took it even harder. Solana and Cardano took heavy hits, dropping 9 and 10.5% respectively. It's a pretty harsh reminder that regardless of how cool the underlying technology is, crypto is still heavily correlated to traditional risk asset macro conditions.
Speaking of crypto, we really need to address the massive elephant in the room as Ripple gears up for the 10th anniversary of its Swell conference. With over 1,500 attendees expected, speculation is literally running wild right now. Are we going to see a BlackRock-backed XRP ETF announced in 2026?
So, what's the truth? Well, the logical answer is no. And here is the reality check. BlackRock has officially denied these plans twice now. For a financial giant like BlackRock, regulatory clarity isn't just nice to have, it's existential. And XRP still needs comprehensive congressional frameworks. On top of that, the existing Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs need to prove much stronger institutional uptake before asset managers are going to expand into more speculative altcoins. Actually, scratch the 2026 idea. A realistic timeline pushes any XRP ETF into late 2026 or even 2027. Instead, folks attending Swell should probably focus on the fundamental tech adoption happening right this second. Things like RippleNet expansion, real-world asset tokenization, and AI integration. Last but not least, Section 4, Sony reclaims console exclusivity, a strategic reversal. Just as the crypto and cyber ecosystems are shifting, market realities are forcing some massive strategic pivots over in the gaming industry too. Sony has officially ended its 6-year experiment with porting first-party single-player exclusives over to the PC. Trace this arc with me, it's pretty wild. It started back in 2020 with Horizon Zero Dawn. By 2022, games like Spider-Man were massive breakout hits on Steam. But then came 2023. Titles like Returnal completely flopped, totally exposing the deep financial risks of the PC market. And now, here in 2026, Sony is fully reversing course, dusting off that classic only on PS5 branding. And the data brilliantly illustrates exactly why they had to pull the plug. Out of 15 PlayStation ports sent to the PC over those 6 years, only 4 actually met Sony's profitability thresholds once you factor in the massive porting costs and the lost opportunity costs. The experiment was actively eroding the core value proposition of buying a $500 PlayStation in the first place. I mean, think about it. If gamers know they can just wait a little bit to get a better-looking version on their PC without paying a monthly subscription fee, why buy the hardware at all?
This creates a genuinely fascinating divergence in the gaming ecosystem. You've got Sony doubling down on hardware exclusivity, basically betting the farm that exclusive content remains the decisive factor to drive high-margin console sales and lock people into their ecosystem. Microsoft, on the exact opposite hand, is leaning entirely into an everything-everywhere strategy. They are actively sacrificing console sales to prioritize Game Pass subscriber growth across literally any screen you own. It's two completely opposed philosophies, and the next few years will dictate which of these giants read the market correctly.
So what should we take away from all of this? From ransomware aggressively blinding our endpoint defenses, to vendors accidentally leaking our deepest corporate secrets, the Fed shaking up our digital assets, and gaming titans rebuilding their walled gardens, our digital ecosystems are fundamentally shifting beneath our feet. So my question to you is this: which of these interconnected shifts will have the most lasting impact on your own digital footprint? Really think about how these behind-the-scenes realities affect the technology you use every single day. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep your tools updated, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next explainer.